A strange gust of wind swept across the flatlands on Mars, as if it had a consciousness, gathering sand and dust. Eventually, the sand and dust converged, forming a shape resembling a giant snake. The giant snake opened its mouth wide, almost devouring the astronauts. Humans appeared so insignificant against the forces of nature. This was an extraordinary event experienced by the first group of astronauts exploring Mars. In 1976, while capturing images of Mars, analysts at NASA's Viking 1 spacecraft discovered a photograph that appeared to depict a human face. 20 years later, in the future, specifically in the year 2020, the United States was preparing for its first Mars landing mission. The designer of this mission, Ansel, and his wife had spent 12 years preparing for it. However, not long ago, his wife was diagnosed with a terminal illness, forcing him to painfully abandon his dream of being part of the first Mars landing. He chose to accompany his beloved wife instead. Ansel passed on this historic opportunity to his good friend, Randy. Randy's journey to Mars and back would take 2 years. His friends and family gathered to bid him farewell, realizing the vastness of the universe and the insignificance of humanity. The risks in space are still unknown. 13 months later, Randy and 3 other astronauts successfully landed on Mars and began a series of exploration and research activities. One day, the Mars rover transmitted an image back to Earth. They discovered that there was a smooth triangular object on top of a mountain. This is the location of the face on Mars discovered by Viking 1 in 1976. The object resembled an iceberg but appeared to be of artificial origin. After reporting to the Earth Space Station, Randy led his team to conduct an on-site investigation of the hill. Strangely, a fixed signal was emitted from the hill. As they scanned the area with radar, a powerful electromagnetic pulse suddenly emanated from within. Subsequently, a strange hurricane swept across the flatlands, growing stronger with each passing moment. As the eye of the storm, resembling a snake, opened its enormous mouth and approached them, the 3 team members were instantly crushed by the force of the wind. While Randy, who was further away, was buried under the sand and debris but miraculously survived. The electronic pulse destroyed the computer system of the Mars 1 spacecraft, rendering it unable to return. Randy managed to transmit a partial message to the supply module using his survival equipment, but the transmission was interrupted and the images were incomplete. The Earth Space Station received the signal, and Ansel immediately requested an early launch of the Mars 2 mission to rescue Randy. Ansel's wife had already passed away, and Ansel had returned to his regular duties. However, the NASA commander analyzed that Randy was likely deceased. Even if he is still alive, there is no guarantee that the rescue team can safely land. However, Ansel and his friend Giles argue incessantly. Space exploration is not only about searching for resources and a way out for humanity, but also about providing a mirror for self-reflection and helping humanity find its place in the universe. If there is indeed an advanced extraterrestrial civilization on Mars, it presents an excellent opportunity for technological exchange and innovation. Moreover, abandoning a comrade would deeply affect the morale of the team. The commander fell silent when confronted with these questions. In the end, the commander decided to have Ansel lead the team with assistance from Giles and his wife, as well as 4 electronic engineers, including Bart. They formed a rescue team to go to Mars. 6 months later, their cylindrical spacecraft approached Mars, carrying various equipment. However, through scanning, they discovered that a sandstorm would strike Mars 1 base, and the planet would be covered in sand and dust for a year. Therefore, they needed to prepare for an early landing. The closer they got to Mars, the more excited they became, because their observations indicated the presence of 3 graves near Mars 1 base, suggesting that Randy was still alive. The area of the Mars face formation holds tremendous mysterious energy, and they would soon have the opportunity to observe it up close and unravel its mysteries. However, as they entered Mars orbit, their spacecraft suddenly collided with a micrometeoroid. Bart's palm was pierced. The cabin hull ruptured, causing air to leak and a rapid drop in pressure. Bart's blood gushed out towards the breach with the airflow. Giles immediately found the right location to repair the inner cabin, but it didn't make much difference. The cabin continued to leak air, and if they didn't close the living compartment soon, all 4 of them would suffer explosive decompression. Ansel didn't have time to put on his helmet. He quickly activated the emergency management system and closed the cabin door. Giles had already reached the exterior of the cabin for a spacewalk. He attempted to repair the outer hull, but the spaceship was too large, making it difficult for him to identify the leak point. The pressure inside the cabin was now less than 1/3, and Ansel was on the verge of shock. The air had never been so precious to him. At this critical moment, he suddenly thought of using soda to locate the leak point, but before he could finish his sentence, he passed out. Giles's wife, Fanny, immediately squeezed the water out of the cabin upon seeing the situation. Giles then found the leak and completed the repair, restoring the pressure instantly. Ansel was finally safe. Meanwhile, the spaceship entered Mars' designated orbit, and Giles didn't even have time to inspect the spacecraft before he had to initiate the landing procedure. Actually, another fuel pipeline was also punctured by a micrometeoroid. Surprisingly, the pipeline started leaking. Just a second ago, they were happily chatting and laughing, but the next second, they felt like they had fallen into hell. Right at the moment they ignited the engines suddenly exploded. The aft compartment was destroyed, and the spaceship went out of control. If the spaceship were to land in this spinning state, they would surely die. Moreover, at this altitude, even if they used the escape pods, they would be incinerated by atmospheric friction. Ansel suddenly thought of the Mars 1 supply module in orbit. The supply module was less than a kilometer away from them, and the four of them immediately decided to abandon the ship and make a desperate attempt. They used spacewalk techniques to intercept the passing supply module from below. They only had 1 or 2 chances, and if they couldn't intercept it, they would fall into the atmosphere and be burned alive. At this moment, they couldn't afford to hesitate. Giles took the lead, activating the thrusters and tightening the tether to catch up. He was like a brave cowboy trying to lasso a galloping wild horse. However, his fuel ran out, and the speed remained too high. He managed to catch the wild horse, but the cowboy didn't hold on tight enough, and he was instantly thrown into space. Giles could only drift away relying on inertia, unable to do anything. His wife, Fanny, felt heartbroken. She had just grabbed onto the supply module using the tether and was eager to rescue her husband. Giles advised her not to be impulsive and insisted that she must save half of the fuel to return the same way. Fanny stopped her actions. She aimed and shot the grappling hook at her husband. However, the distance of the rope was very limited. She was just one step away from success. Fanny wanted to get closer and shoot again, but there wasn't enough fuel to return. In the end, both of them will die. Moreover, Giles' descent speed was getting faster and faster. Giles considered all the possibilities for rescue but found no solution. So, in order not to burden his wife and teammates, he chose to remove his helmet and leave the world on his own. He wanted to at least let his wife survive and return. In this way, the remaining 3 individuals used the supply module as a landing craft. They successfully landed near Mars 1. Then they immediately started the rescue operation. The main board of the number 1 spacecraft was burned and couldn't be used for the return journey. However, some of the basic facilities on the spacecraft were still functional. The crops in the greenhouse were growing luxuriantly. Randy relied on these crops for survival. When he saw his 3 friends coming to rescue him, he shed tears of excitement. However, when he heard the news of Giles' passing, he felt a deep sense of regret, although their journey had not been smooth. But luckily, Bart brought a brand new main board. This meant they could repair the number 1 spacecraft and had hope of going home. It was only then that Randy revealed the encounter from a year ago to them. The hill revealed its true form only after the hurricane. The hill is a fully metallic structure in the shape of a human face. It is definitely from an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. So it was his team that launched the radar waves. The radar waves triggered the defense system, resulting in an attack. Since the last attack on the face, they have been quiet for a year. During this year, Randy, he has been pondering how to unravel the secret of the alien face. The secret likely originates from that mysterious signal. After a long period of exploration and verification, he has essentially deciphered the secret of that signal. The secret is actually a DNA sequence very similar to that of humans. The question is, why would the face send such a signal? Nobody knows. This information may be left for future generations to research. There is a storm approaching nearby. If they don't evacuate soon, they will be forever stranded on this red planet. However, just as they were packing their belongings, Ansel once again thought about the signal from the extraterrestrials. Perhaps it is a simple question. So as long as they prove that they are Earthlings, they may not trigger the defense system of the face. This is an opportunity for humanity to have recent contact with an advanced civilization. They unanimously agreed to give it a try. They completed the missing chromosomes in the DNA sequence. Then they translated it into the same sound wave signal. They used a remote-controlled vehicle to approach the face and transmit again. This time, the face did not make any attacking moves. A giant door emitting a soft white light opened in the middle of the structure. That white light was very gentle. That seems more like an invitation. What is inside the face? They couldn't contain their curiosity and excitement. They arranged for Bart to stay in the spacecraft. The three of them immediately drove to investigate. Regardless of whether it's an opportunity or danger, they have prepared themselves to dedicate their lives for it. However, there was no danger within the giant door. The air here is filled with the same composition as Earth. Deep within the white light is a vast three-dimensional image of the solar system. However, Mars in the image is not reddish. Instead, it is a blue planet with an environment similar to Earth. Suddenly, an asteroid impacts the surface of Mars. It triggers a massive disaster. It destroys the entire ecosystem. This is likely Mars from billions of years ago. At that moment, a slender figure appears behind them. She has a face that is similar to humans. She is the legendary Martian. She attempts to convey the rise and fall of Mars history through the images. After that disaster, many Martians fled to the depths of the Milky Way. Only one spaceship hesitated to leave Mars. It flew towards Earth billions of years ago. It seeded primitive life on the blue planet. Life evolved through countless generations, until the emergence of intelligent life. Therefore, life on Earth originated from the dissemination of this spaceship. Humans are the descendants of Martians. This Martian has been guarding the solar system. She witnessed the birth and development of humanity. Afterwards, she invited everyone to join her in a new home. The members then understood. However, Randy and Fanny couldn't bear to leave their family on Earth. They prepared to return to Earth the way they came. Only Ansel decided to stay inside the face and leave with the Martians. Perhaps, one day in the future, he will bring extraterrestrial technology back to Earth. He will lead humanity into a golden age of interstellar civilization. Of course, he will also reach the depths of the Milky Way. Perhaps he will be kept in a zoo for observation. Randy and the other two boarded Mars 1. Before the sandstorm struck, they successfully returned to Earth. And that's where the story ends. The filming of the movie was assisted by NASA experts back then. This is a hardcore science fiction film. The events follow the laws of physics. The movie doesn't have eye-catching scenes. The director presents a rational view of human origins. The film also showcases different alien forms. They are relatively friendly and benevolent. Science fiction films showcase the vast imagination of humanity. The film extends humanity's exploration of the unknown world. This includes introspection and thinking about the current situation of human beings. It also holds aspirations and yearnings for the future. Alright. Interested viewers can search for the original film and watch it. The film is called The Mars Mission. Follow me. See you next time.